by far one of my favorite topics to discuss and train on. And man, it's like, give me a New Year's resolution, give me a challenge, give me a vision board,
A
give me
planner,
get a new planner,
some highlighters.
no new pins, all the things. This is one of my favorite topics. And not just because it's fun for me, right? Like our personalities, we're like high achievers, high performers, not just because we enjoy the process, but because I have personally experienced, the joy of watching those, visions and dreams that you have for your life unfold and actually achieving them. Welcome to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we, Becky
and Monique, your new biz besties, both busy moms just like you.
We're here to talk all things network marketing, mom life, and how to truly live out your calling. We'll be dropping 2 episodes each week to help you, the busy mompreneur, know the exact strategies to build both your business and your home. You'll hear each week from one of the top network marketers on their best tips for what's led to their success and what's working now.
We know that you're here because you are called to something more. You have a desire to succeed in both your business and at home, and we are going to teach you how. If you love what you hear here on the podcast and want to be one of our success stories, join us inside our community, the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we provide a daily social media action plan, additional resources, kingdom coaching, and more. Click the show notes for the link to join. So let's get into the episode.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another podcast episode. We are so excited because guess what? It is 2024.
Happy New Year. Hey guys, it's Monique and Becky. And we hope that you have got caught up on our past episodes. If you have not listened to the episodes that we have already shared, we had some phenomenal guests that we interviewed, as well as we talked about some things to do if you're looking to figure out how to clarify your niche. We have an excellent episode all about your niche. And today we are going to be talking about something that you are probably struggling with yourself or you want some help with, and that is goal setting.
Oh my goodness. This is by far one of my favorite topics to discuss and train on. And man, it's like, give me a New Year's resolution, give me a challenge, give me a vision board,
A
give
planner,
me get a new planner,
some highlighters,
no new pins, all the things. This is one of my favorite topics. And not just because it's fun for me, right? Like our personalities, we're like high achievers, high performers, not just because we enjoy the process, but because I have personally experienced, the joy of watching those, visions and dreams that you have for your life unfold and actually achieving them. And so I think there's just so much power in, we're just coming off this super busy season, the Christmas holiday, like chaos and excitement and joy. And I think some people get a little overwhelmed with, okay, well, what do I do now? Like, what do I focus on now? Like, I'm past all of that craziness and, maybe I want to lose weight or I want to, get healthier. Or I want my business to thrive, but how do I know like what to focus on, where I really want to be in life?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, just like Becky said, people can look at the goals, but are you actually achieving the goals? And that's what we're going to talk about today is like, you might look at the goals that you want, and maybe they're the same goals you had a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And you might be frustrated with yourself and you might be like, well, I haven't actually achieved what it is that you want to accomplish. And so we're actually going to give you some things to think about, some questions to ask yourself, and we're going to give you a way to actually follow through on what it is that you say that you want. Okay, so the first question is, okay, if you can think about your life, think about if you could have anything, be anything, or do anything, what would your life look like?
Yeah. And I love this question because, I think in general, we specifically speaking for, network marketers, direct sellers, and I think really maybe realtors can even relate to this, or many different industries. But I think just from my perspective, a lot of times we get so wrapped up in chasing, the incentive trip, or chasing a title, or chasing like six figures, like, oh, I'm going to get to this one thing. It's a very specific thing. And while that is, we're going to talk a little bit about why you need to focus on one thing in a little bit, but I love this question because I think it takes you beyond that, right? Because I've been at the top, I've done all the things and, earned the incentives. And ultimately, what keeps you going is building the life that you desire, and not necessarily the shiny objects that we might chase after. And so I just think this is such a powerful question, like thinking about, if I could have anything, if I could not fail, if I could, show up as any version of myself, of, what would I be capable of? What are the things that I would own? Where would I live? Who would I be with? Thinking more of like, what does the very best version of me, what do they look like?
Yeah. And I love that you just said, if I could not fail, because I think for a lot of people, their mind immediately goes to failure. And that might be you. Like your mind might go to, oh, well, it would be nice if I could, have this or that, or do this, or provide this for my kids, but that's not for me, or that's not possible. And so I think that's like our human nature. Like we are wired, our brains are wired to protect ourselves. And so when it comes to dreaming big, oftentimes you will list out all of the reasons why you can't accomplish something, or why something is not possible for you. And so what we want to encourage you to do is to reframe that question and to ask yourself, if you could not fail, if failure were not an option and anything were possible, what would your life look like? And you can pause this, you can stop and write those things down. You can come back to this, but really think about, what would your life look like? And then from there, listing out 10 dreams. What are the 10 dreams of, maybe 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future, 10 things that you would love to see happen? And then the next question to ask yourself is, what would need to happen to make those 10 dreams a possibility? So,
well, and I think too, even asking like, who would I need to be? Right. So if like one of your dreams is like, I don't know, pay cash for your car, or your kids go to private school, or you buy a home, or whatever it is, who would you need to be? Like the kind of person that is showing up, that is capable of having those things. A lot of times I think, it goes beyond just the actions and like the IPAs, and all these things that you got to show up and do, but it's like the kind of person, your character, your habits, your integrity, your just all of those things. Discipline. Yeah. I think that goes even further into goal setting in regards to, or will take you further when it comes to goal setting.
Yeah. And I think, I love that you said that, because oftentimes it's also like, what are you no longer going to do? Like there are a lot of things that maybe you're doing right now because everybody else is doing it, or because it's normal, or because, if a goal of yours, you just use the example of like paying cash for a car. Okay. Well, if that's a goal of yours, then maybe you're not spending on Starbucks, or you're not frivolously buying things on Amazon.
As we sit here and drink our coffee.
as we're sitting in the coffee shop with our $5 drinks. But no, like if that is a goal of yours, asking yourself, like, what kind of person do I need to become? And really, who are the people that you need to surround yourself with? Becky and I were just having this conversation about just our surroundings and the relationships and the people that we have around us. Is like, if you want to become this next version of yourself, who do you need to be surrounding yourself with, and who do you not need to be surrounding yourself with?
Well, and I think facing the reality that, the desires that you have, the goals that you have, are you willing to make those sacrifices? If you're really honest with yourself, are you willing to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning before the kids get up? Are you willing to prioritize, at the end of a school day? Maybe you're a teacher and you're like, no, but side hustle over here. I want it to become my full time. Okay, well, are you willing to prioritize that, or are you making excuses? Are you saying, I don't have time, I'm so exhausted, this, that, and the other. And I think, sometimes we have these big, bold goals and we think, oh, someday, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is the success that you have is going to be the result of compound interest, meaning it's going to take you making small sacrifices now that will one day lead to the life you want. And I think just the reality of like facing the reality of the sacrifices that you need to make is sometimes the hardest thing. Because just as an example, Monique and I were doing some planning, like goal setting. And one of the things I was thinking about was like, man, I don't watch like a ton of TV, but I do watch some at night to like decompress. And I was just listening to a podcast episode from Brendan Burchard, and he was talking about the amount of time that you lose from being like distracted, whether it's watching TV or scrolling on Instagram. And, while all of those things, there's nothing wrong, quote unquote, with it. But when I heard the amount of hours that you lose in a year, I thought, oh my word, and so as much as I love like Netflix or whatever, and I'm not saying I'm giving it up forever, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it up in January because I know that we have big goals. And so if have this desire to, build this company with Monique and we like have all these big grand visions, well, I need to be willing to make the sacrifices to get to that place. Right. And so I think it starts with evaluating, like, what can I give up? I can't obviously give up like taking showers, or I can't give up like, feeding my children. But hey, you know what? Like when they're in bed and decompressing, instead of turning on a show, I can read my Bible, or I can read a book, or I can listen to a podcast instead of turning on the TV. And then next thing I know, it's like binge watching something that is just a waste of time.
Yeah. So I love that you said that because, we were just having like a conversation about going into 2024 and like goals and all that kind of stuff. And you said that about the television. And when you said that, I felt like, oh, well, I don't really quite resonate with that because I don't watch a ton of TV. But what I said was, I was like, you know what? For January, I'm eating super clean.
Yes.
Because energy for me is like where I recognize in the same way that business, there's a lot of things that we need to do to accomplish our business goals. Energy is part of that. And if we don't have the energy to do the things that we need to do. And so I was just telling Becky, I'm like, I'm going to eat super clean the whole month of January. Like that is and so the point is, it's like, who is the person that you need to become and what do you need to do? And another question you can ask yourself is, how can I show up as her now? Like, how can I show up as her now? Like if you start seeing yourself as somebody who's at the top of the company, or you see yourself as a leader or accomplishing all these different things in your life, or it could be the dreams that you have for your family. Like I know I'm very intentional right now about, what I want our home life to look like and what the future I want for our kids. And so how are you showing up as that person now?
Yeah. Because that concept, acting as if, as if you already had those things.
Yes.
Well, and I think it can become like a filter too, through which you make your decisions. I can't remember. I think it was on that podcast that I said, I feel like we're always referencing podcasts, right? Learners or earners. And so Monique and I were sharing a podcast and someone shared, I think it was Ben, an author, Ben Hardy. Yeah. He shared about, a team that was like a rowing team. I don't even remember what book it was from that he was referencing this story, but how every decision they made, it was like, is this going to make the boat go faster? And it was literally like it made all of your decisions and the way you show up crystal clear. Because if the actions that you're taking don't align with that vision and what you're trying to accomplish, then it's like, well, it's a no-brainer. Like, no, of course, I'm not. He was just using the reference like, these guys who are like training on this team, like, should we go to this party and be up all night and like getting drunk or whatever? And the guy was like, they said, is it going to make the boat go faster? Well, no, we need to be in bed at this time. We need to, so if they all have this vision for what they're trying to accomplish, then it's crystal clear, like how you need to show up.
I love that you said that because it also makes you think about when you decide something beforehand, it gives you the clarity that when something comes up unexpectedly, you can easily respond to it. And I'll give you an example of this is I was looking at January coming up. And we're making some transition with homeschooling our kids. I have not publicly announced that. There you go. So we're homeschooling our kids, and I had told myself, I looked at all the things coming up in January, and I had told myself, I said, okay, anything that is not involved with me educating my kids or work is going to have to just wait. Like, I'm not going to say yes to friend commitments, lunches, like nothing. Like, only these are the two priorities right now in my life. And so literally the next day, a friend of mine, I have a group chat of some girlfriends. They're like, hey, can we all get together and do blah, blah, blah. And I just said, it was clear because I had predetermined. I said, I had just told myself yesterday, and they all, of course, understood, but it allowed me to have that boundary of, okay, if this is the person who I've already said I was going to become, and I know I don't have the margin just in this season, I don't have the margin to say yes to anything else, then when these things come up, you can, without guilt, be able to be really clear on the same example you just gave of the rowing. Like, this is the direction that I'm going in. This is the energy that I have. This is the time availability that I have. So for you, thinking about like your own goals, what direction do you want to head in? And what are the things that will help you get there? And what are the things that you're going to have to give up? Something that Becky and I train on is recognizing what is sacred. We teach our clients to recognize what is sacred. And for you, it could be family dinner time. It could be picking your kids up from school. It could be whatever it is. And when you have recognized what is sacred, it allows you to have that boundary that when other people ask things of you, you can easily say, hey, this is not going to work, or this doesn't work in this season.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just recognizing that, God's plans for your life cannot be canceled. And you're not going to miss out on something by saying no. If anything, he will reward you. I just want to encourage you in that, because I think sometimes we fall into the trap of hustling for our worthiness and feeling like, oh no, like I'll never get to this thing if I don't do more or do blank. And we're certainly not saying like, don't show up and do the work, but I think having the clarity of like, these are the things that will move the needle and these are the distractions, and differentiating what are the things that are my sacred and, what I'm willing to sacrifice, that's going to help you. And so I think as you have taken time to like list out these 10 dreams and you have clarified, like usually out of the 10 dreams, there's really one that stands out, that essentially if you accomplish this one dream, everything else will come to pass. And so when you have, really come to this conclusion of, okay, in 2024, this is the one thing I'm going to focus on, it's very likely that the other goals that you have will come to pass, maybe not right away, maybe in the next like couple of years, but I just want to encourage you to laser focus on one specific thing. And then from there, you're going to want to reverse engineer. So if you want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's a financial goal. I mean, like, let's not beat around the bush. Like for most of you, if you list out all of the things that you want, and if you pull out from that, what is the one thing that I need to accomplish? We would guess like for most of you, it's going to be a financial goal. So let's just use the example of, you want to earn $10,000 a month in your business. And so if you look at that goal, you can work backwards and reverse engineer that goal. You can look at that and say, okay, if I want to earn $10,000 per month, then what do I need to be doing every single month? How many conversations do I need to be having? How many people do I need to be getting in front of, sharing the business opportunity? How many times do I need to be posting on social media? And you get really clear on all of the things that are needed in order to take you from one place to the other. And then you're going to take that monthly goal. You're going to break it down into what do you need to be doing every single week? And then from there, you need to break that down into what do you need to do every single day in your business.
Yeah. And the good news is if you're like, man, I really wish I could just have someone to tell me what to do every day, we've created that. So if you're new here, we launched recently the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur membership. And so we recognized that, oh my gosh, you guys, like people, they see the vision, they come into this industry with like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. They're like, oh, this feels good. The community, the people are loving on me. And then you watch all these, shiny unicorn people have success. And it's I remember that feeling. I remember feeling like, okay, what is it that they're doing? What is the one thing? And, if you've been following me for any length of time, I've shared very publicly that I was not an overnight success. My superpower was consistency. And so when I look at my journey, I can specifically pinpoint times when I just kind of was like going along my consistent self, but then I recognized like, okay, these are the things that I really need to focus on. And when I'm showing up and doing these things every single day, I'm going to build. And that was when, like, year after year, my income like doubled, like year after year. And so we were recognizing that a lot of people just struggle with that consistency piece and feeling like, life is hard, life is busy, it's messy. And if you just had someone to tell you what you need to do, provide like an action plan, you're more likely to show up and do it. And so that is what we created. And it is literally $47 a month, you guys, like gold.
Yes. And it's a whole community. So we have the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur membership. And so with that membership, you receive a daily action plan. So every single day, you guys, this is amazing. Every single day, it gives you exactly what to post on social media and your exact checklist of the needle moving activities that you need to be doing in your business. And we also have created this in a way where you can work your business 45 minutes to an hour a day and do the actions that are needed to grow your income. And then the last piece of what we really feel like is important for goal setting is accountability. And so the other thing we've provided inside of our membership is we have a Facebook community of other people who are in here doing the thing. They are working their business. They are holding each other accountable. They are, taking actions. And I love the fact that it is several different companies. It's not just one company. It's several different companies where people are cheering each other on. They're encouraging each other. And so if you're looking for that, and you're like, this is the year that I'm tired of just telling myself these are the goals that I want, but I'm actually interested in following through, make sure to click the link in the show notes because we would love to have you be part of our membership.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. We would love for you to pass this along to your business bestie, to your sideline, your downline, your upline, and anyone that is wanting to crush 2024, because God has been speaking life into a lot of people over the last, I don't know if you guys have felt it, but something incredible is going to happen in 2024. And we know you have big plans for yourself, as well as God has big plans for your life. And we just want to encourage you to, show up for yourself in a sense that you are worthy of the success that you desire. You deserve that success. And God is going to use it for his glory. And we're excited to see how all of your goals unfold this year. And who knows what happens next in the next coming months. But be sure to tag us on social media at the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, as well as just check us out on Facebook as well if you want to join our free community.
Thanks so much for listening to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. If you loved what you heard today, could you stop and give us a 5-star rating and review? It helps our visibility on podcasting platforms so others like you can hear more of this message.
Also, if this episode encouraged you, we would love for you to pass it along to your own biz bestie and anyone else who could benefit. Lastly, don't forget that if you want to hang out with us just a little bit more, join us inside the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur community. Click the link in the show notes. Bye for now.